LJN. The name is very familiar if you are a kid growing up in the 1980s. It was originally a toy company, but they got involved in the video game business at the time. They typically published games based on popular movies such as Jaws or Back to the Future, but also published some sports titles as well. Generally, the quality was bad. Many times the game had nothing to do with the actual license, and various games suffered from glitches, poor game design, controls, and everything. The legend of LJN continues to rise in the gaming community, but they are more than just a video game company, and the story of their rise and fall is really quite interesting. So today, I'm going to tell you, my friend, the story and history of LJN. Let's start with the founder of LJN, Jack Freedman. He was born in Queens, New York on July 3, 1939. Raised by a single mother, he loved classic toys such as yo-yos and die-cast cars. Because of his love to them, he saw a future of him working with toys the rest of his life. In the 1960s, Freedman got a job as a sales representative for Norman J. Lewis Associates, a toy company based out of New York City. He traveled up and down the East Coast selling toys and novelty items to stores. Although he loved the job, he had ambitions to start his own toy company. He received financial backing from his boss, Norman J. Lewis. He used it to form LJN Toys in 1970. What did LJN stand for? It was simply his former boss's initials backwards. Freedman saw potential in pop culture with his toys, so the company will focus heavily on licensed entertainment, such as movies, television shows, and celebrities. So what kind of toys did LJN make? Well, I don't want to go too in-depth about, so just for the glimpse of it, they made action figures based on the popular movies at the time, like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, E.T., and Gremlins. They're also known for making action figures of wrestling superstars, and Thundercats action figures as well. By the mid-1980s, LJN became a very successful company, which put them in the crosshairs of such larger companies, such as MCA, who is known for owning Universal Films. MCA was controlled by Sid Seinberg, the same man who unsuccessfully sued Nintendo over Donkey Kong. He saw LJN as a perfect way to increase profits significantly. Universal will make a movie, LJN will make the toy line, and both profits will go to MCA. Not only that, but LJN was beginning to make moves to enter the video game industry, which MCA has interest in as well. In 1985, MCA officially acquired LJN for $67 million. Although it was a huge success for Jack Freedman, he wasn't happy with it. After the acquisition, he had to relocate to California, and he felt he wasn't in control. 2 years later, Jack Freedman left LJN. As I mentioned earlier, it was at this time that LJN started to get into video games. In 1987, LJN released a game console called LJN Video Art, and it was never meant to compete with the Nintendo Entertainment System. LJN Video Art was a paint program on your TV. Kids could color or draw pictures on the screen. Just like their toy lines, they focus heavily on licensed entertainment. One thing to note here is that LJN never actually developed any of these games, but rather published them. Some companies that developed for LJN include Atlas and Rare, but a few of them went totally uncredited, which are somewhat common at the time. Now let's take a look at some of the games LJN released for the NES. Up we got Karate Kid, based on a hit movie series. Just like Kung Fu on the Nintendo Entertainment System, it's an action side-scroller. One common complaint here is that every time you get hit, you get knocked back. It can make traveling through the stages somewhat difficult. You also got several bonus stages where you have to catch flies with chopsticks, break ice, or dodge a swinging hammer. To sum it up, the game is short and fairly easy. Let's move on to NFL. Again,
Just like Major League Baseball, it has licenses to the teams but not the actual players. This game is a mess. The game is very slow, the controls are very confusing, and play calling is, well, I'm not sure what play I'm calling. In a nutshell, you have no idea what is going on. I'd rather stick to Tecmo Bowl or some other NES football game that I haven't known about. Finally, let's take a look at TNC Surf Designs, based on a surfing and apparel company of the same name. There are two modes to play, skateboarding and surfing. In skateboarding, you have to dodge obstacles and make jumps to reach the end of the stage. In surfing, you have to stay on the board for as long as possible. I actually kind of enjoy TNC Surf Designs. It's colorful and fun to play with friends. Now, these are the games that I do know about, but LJN put out a bunch more. So let's move on. What happened next for LJN?
Remember the saying, what goes up must come down? That scenario happened to LJN. The downfall of the company was not the games they published, but, believe it or not, the line of toys they produced. In 1986, LJN created a brand of toy water guns under the name Enertech. Everybody that grew up in the 80s may have remembered these commercials.
Look, the feel, the sound, so real. Enertech.
These water guns were battery powered and were known for looking extremely realistic. The toys were a success, but the realistic look caused problems. After the toys were released, reports began springing up around the country about children playing with realistic-looking toy guns getting accidentally shot by police officers. Not only that, but criminals were using them in robberies. People were now petitioning for the toys to be banned. To prevent incidents like this from happening again, several major cities around the country, including San Francisco, Chicago, and Detroit, signed a bill that banned the sale and use of realistic-looking toy guns. LJN soon remade the guns in bright neon colors, but the damage had been done. The public had lost interest in the toy, and LJN profits plummeted. Another line of toy guns from Enertech, known as Gotcha the Sport, also became a failure. These were paintball guns marketed towards kids. They were based on a comedy movie Gotcha from 1985, and LJN even released a game based on a toy line for the Nintendo Entertainment System. However, many units were returned to stores because they were faulty. LJN lost $35 million due to the returns. MCA had had enough with LJN's failures. In 1990, they sold LJN to Acclaim Entertainment for an undisclosed amount. Acclaim quickly closed LJN's toy division, and LJN went on to become exclusively a video game publisher. By making this move, this allowed Acclaim to increase their output of games. Nintendo had strict regulations on how many games a publisher can make for their system each year. Nintendo eventually dropped this quality control rule, and in 1995, LJN was shut down by Acclaim. A once successful company had bit the dust. The last known game from LJN was, oddly enough, a Sega Dreamcast game called Spirit of Speed 1937. It was released in the summer of 2000, 5 years after the company shut down. There is little to no information on why Acclaim decided to use the LJN name to publish this game. Maybe our theory is that they want to keep themselves as far away from the title as possible. Spirit of Speed 1937 was slammed by critics for its load times, course designs, controls, and graphics. GameSpot rated Spirit of Speed 1937 as the worst game of 2000. As for Jack Freedman, the original founder of LJN, he founded a new toy company called Toy Headquarters in 1989, but later on became known to gamers as THQ. THQ made toys and video games, but went strictly video games in 1994. By making a full-time switch, Freedman saw how much more potential the game industry was becoming, and he felt uncomfortable running the company. He left THQ soon afterwards. In 2013, THQ went bankrupt. In 1995, after he left THQ, he formed a new toy company, Jakks Pacific. The company is still around today and has licenses for many popular franchises, including Nintendo and Star Wars.
Sadly, in March 2010, Jack Freedman passed away at the age of 70 due to a rare blood disorder. He was known for his smart business moves and his contributions to charity throughout his life. One journalist said he had an eye for talent. So the next time you see that LJN rainbow on your game cartridge, maybe remember them for more than just the video games. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep things classy, my friends.